Freedom is coming tomorrow. Get ready, mama, prepare for your freedom. Freedom is coming tomorrow. Get ready, mama, prepare for your freedom. Freedom is coming tomorrow. Yeah, oh, you listen to mama. Yeah, oh, you listen to mama. Yeah, oh, you listen to mama.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amber TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Fellow Ambazonians, dear countrymen, despite the hike in targeted summary execution of our innocent people by Paul Biya's killer squads, I still believe we are now at the twilight of our political daybreak, emptying the combined worth and wealth of a lifetime fortune into the country of our collective dream.
A place we can surely call home.
At last, my people, the wind of total liberation is sweeping through Ambazonia, our priceless inheritance.
The land of our forebears.
A place we can surely call home.
A few years ago, a vicious dictator declared war on our sovereign nation of Ambazonia. It is a war we did not seek nor provoke, but are determined to muster every strength we can harness and continue sending the message to our enemy that we have risen to call home.
We have paid dues for everything. We pay tax for goods we buy. We pay fuel in our cars. We pay hospital bills and the dues for all other sacrifices.
I can give all I have for the one hope that I have.
Because I hate my CID. I'm a nation proudly Amazonian.
Let's get it straight. The freedom of Ambazonia will not depend on the free will of her enemies.
Independence will be but days away if we get it right with our CID.
My dear comrades, I am appealing to every Ambazonian to register with the CID program.
We have no control over our distorted history, but with our CID, we can set the pace and determine the future of Ambazonia.
Yes, the hope for the future is in our hands. As an Ambazonian, my identity is conclusive. My right is guaranteed. My vote will always count as I pay my CID.
As an Amazonian, I will shape the future with my CID.
With your CID of just $10 per month, the interim government is contract to fulfill all that you wish to be done.
Let us build a freedom mansion from the little block, which is our CID living.
There will be food for everyone, hope for every child,
justice for every citizen when we pay our CID levy.
Yes, the dream we can realize with my compulsory independence dues, CID. I have the opportunity to give to the next generation a greater nation, better than we inherited.
Yes, CID program is freedom made easy, freedom made cheap, freedom for Amazonia now.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amber TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Fellow Ambazonians, dear countrymen, despite the
Greetings and welcome back today, the 11th of February 2022. This is your very important teaching and instruction program, Ethics for an Emerging Nation. And in today's program, we are going to have our panelists, and then we'll have a special guest that will come in here to chip in some instructions. Before we go ahead, I want to respect and give my salute to the ARF that are doing everything possible to make sure that we get back our homeland. And I want to welcome all of you who are Ambazonians watching at home and abroad to get this teaching so that when we get back home, it shall not be a struggle. And so I will invite in here my co-host, Madam Manka, and then we'll go into have our panelists who are right here with me. And of course, we will get down to our special guest in the house today, who is Frank. Over to you, Mama Manka. Welcome.
Thank you, my co-host, Commander. Commander, I am excited to be here with you on this special 11th of February. We know the significance of this day in Ambazonia. We know the colonial masters believe we are supposed to observe this day, but we know how our Ambazonian forces on the ground have made it possible that nothing is taking place in our land. I want to appreciate you, Commando. Last week, I was supposed to be on this platform with you, talking about how the ethics committee should actually handle ethical issues. But you guys saw an example of how ethics works. I was unable to come and present to you guys. I made sure I came, but I actually handed over the right way to our most able commando, and he took over the pastor. He did a wonderful job, and the program went on. That's the kind of Ambazonia we are all fighting for. That is what we are all here working for. We have our most able panelists and guests, and we are looking forward to a very spirited program. It's going to give a lot more guidance, just like in the future, more gifts, more ideas on what we will be presenting to you guys. So I'm going to hand it over back to my co-host, Pastor Commando. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mama Manka. That is wonderful. That is powerful. It is always a joy to come into a mission like this, Ethics for an Emerging Nation, and look at what we're supposed to encourage our people. I would like to invite the panelists, if they are all there, to come into the house, get into the studios, so that we can kick off immediately. We have 21 minutes gone in our time, and we are, anyway, you are all here. Welcome to Dr. Ndula. I give you the microphone to greet your people.
Thank you, Pastor Commando, Mamanka, and fellow panelists. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians. I'm glad to be on air once more to educate our people, inform our people about the various duties of the Ethics Commission. Today it's informing you people and informing us all about the notion of gifts, people accepting or giving gifts which might be viewed as bribes to government officials or from government officials. So that's what we are going to talk about today, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ndula. Thank you so much. We were going to come back to announce the role of receiving and giving gifts as it is enshrined in our ethics department. But before then, we would like to have had a kind of a summary from last week's program, which was the templates. And we will get back to one of you. Just one of you will give us that breakdown so that we can push on with the subject matter that we have today. Let me come in with Barrister Tim and ask him to greet the people. Immediately after that, I would like my co-host to call on the next panelist on the in the studios to introduce himself and say a word to our people. Barrister Tim, over to you.
Thank you, moderators. Thank you, co-panelists. Thank you, viewers. Our only hope is that at the end of the day, we'll go home with something we've learned that we did not know. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there with us. And thank you for listening to us.
Over to you, Mama Manka.
Barrister Mbese, thank you. Thank you for that presentation. I'm going to call on Dr. Titanta to also introduce himself and say something.
Good evening, fellow panelists. Good evening, moderators. Good evening, Pastor Commando. Good evening, Mama Manka. It's a great pleasure to be in this program once more. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians around the world. I thank God for the opportunity for us to be again alive today. I thank God for He is the author and the finisher of this revolution. And I pray every day that God will continue to give us wisdom to go through the hard times that may come our way. That God will be with us throughout and see us through each and every one of them. That will come out triumphal at the end of it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Titanta. It is our pleasure once again to be here, and I will call on Barrister Tim to give us a brief recap of the subject matter we treated last week, and then we now adjoin it into what we have today. Barrister, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Our last two sessions were devoted to what we call templates. Templates are forms, piece of paper on how we can file ethics complaint. We got educated on what to do if we are a primary issue or if we are going on appeal, appealing against a decision that we did not like. These are two things we have learned in the past two sessions. As from today going forward, we're going to take individual subjects so that if you found yourself there, you go back to the template, take the one that applies to you. Again, remember, on the template, there must be your name, the complainant, the name of the person you're complaining about, the witnesses, if you have any, and then, of course, the full story of what you're talking about. That's what is our template. If it's an appeal, you remember you have to attach the decision that you are appealing against so that the people hearing your appeal will know exactly what is the problem. That was what we did in the last two sessions, templates, forms on how to file complaints. Thank you.
Wow, that is the summary to an average layperson who could not retain everything. This one is a very big summary. Remember, Ambazonians, ABC is out to start giving you the knowledge that you're supposed to know before we get back home. Because we don't want to get back home and then we suddenly discover that we have rejected or refused or have been deprived of knowledge, and then we are struggling now to build, and struggling to build without knowledge, definitely you will go back to where you were before. The nonsense of La Republic that does everything without the rule of law and without coordination. We don't want to get into that kind of a mess. All right, I will hand over to my co-host to bring in one of the panelists to start up with this particular subject matter of today, rules on receiving and giving gifts as it concerns our ethics commission in ethics for an emerging nation. Over to you.
Thank you, Commando. Today is the first of the specific topics that we will be addressing over the a good length of time, considering ethics in our emerging nation. Today's topic is going to cover gifts, and as we all know, in La République and the country that we have been under for 60 years, how gifts have influenced every decision that has taken place on the ground in our communities. So to start off with this, I don't want to delay, so let me bring in the one person that I want to address this issue right now is going to be Dr. Barrister Mbehesa. Please, if you can first of all explain what a gift, what is a gift? Could you tell us, please? We want our listeners to know what is meant as a gift in general.
Okay, a gift, especially in terms of ethics, is anything of monetary value, taking or giving something of monetary value in return. It must be in return for something. You give something or you take something which has some monetary value in return for something. What does it mean? You give me a chicken, a cock, let me say in the palace. You bring a cock to the palace because you are quarreling with your wife or your husband, hoping that when the thing comes to the palace, the chief will listen to your case better. That chicken probably is about 5,000 in terms of common money. That is unethical. The chief will receive that money, that chicken, in anticipation that he will give a judgment in favor of she or in favor of him, is ethically wrong. The giver, be it the husband or the wife.
Let me come in here and ask you this. So are you saying that any gift that you obtain that is of lesser value than the market value is, would you say it's, are you saying that it's a bad gift or a good gift? Because
Well,
there are some gifts,
okay.
gifts that are given with no intention attached to it. So you have said that a gift is a gift with an intention attached to it. What about those gifts that have no intention attached to them?
No, well, the intention can be clear or inferred. See, I like always to bring the local examples. If you are doing something to influence someone, let me put it that way, something that you do, you accept or you give, in your mind, your intention is to influence the person. That person must be in a person who could take, in a position who can take a decision for or against you. That's the bottom line of it. You may never get it, but that is your intention. You are giving him this thing or you are giving her this thing, hoping that in return, he or she will do you this favor. I think that's the bottom line.
Okay.
We'll come to the analysis of the value, but for now, that's the basic definition.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mbeseha. So I'm going to go to Dr. Ndula. Do you have the same definition for a gift as the barrister, or what would you say a gift is?
Well, yeah, thank you, Mamanka. Barrister Tim already explained it, I mean, in a very nice way. Well, just adding to it is to say, well, gifts in themselves are good things. So we give gifts to our family members, friends, and relatives, and even to people in offices, just like that. They are only valid or problematic when somebody is going to an office, for example, a contractor seeking for a contract from the government. Government agencies, they give out contracts to private people and they get paid by the government. If a gift is being brought to that person in that agency, in that office, just at the time that one is coming to ask for that contract, or to, like many others, they are competing for the contract to be given to them by the government. And then you give something to be it of anything of monetary value, as Barrister Tim explained. Then that could be something, it could be seen as a bribe, because you have a friend in an office, you give that person a gift without any strings attached. There are no dealings with that person as a government official. That will not be a problem. Although it could be a problem even if you gave something 1 year ago, something big to somebody, and then you are coming now to get a contract. It could be linked to what you gave that person. So it is up to those who are in government, who are having position anywhere, and we can extend it even to the private sector, to desist from taking gifts from people who they have business dealings with, or whom they have contracts with, especially when it has to do with government officials. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ndula. Let me bring in Dr. Titanta. Dr. Titanta, after that, I'm going to give you to my co-host. Are we therefore saying that gifts are only things that are physical, that you can see? Is that what we're saying?
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Barrister. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Mamanka, for bringing in this. I would like to add to what my co-panelists have already said by making some small suggestion here. Suppose I bought a piece of Bamenda clothes, traditional attire, for 100,000 francs CFA. And then I went to see a minister, and that minister gave me 120,000 CFA for that cloth. I will not consider that as a gift because he paid more than what I paid for. But suppose I went and saw the man, and the man said, "Oh, please, let me give you something for this, please, please." I said, "No, I really just wanted to come and give you this thing for free." No, let me give you something. Okay, let me give you 10,000. So in that case, it is considered as a gift because it is inferior to the actual market value of that product. And in that case, there must be, what is the purpose of giving this kind of gift? Why we must always refer gifts in terms of monetary terms? Because we know one of the greatest ethical problems in our society is corruption. And corruption is always linked to money. That's why we have to make this distinction in connection with money. We know that in our old traditional way, maybe when our forefathers were running our kingdoms, they didn't have contact with the Western world, and which will lead them into the world of corruption that we have today. So we must say that corruption that we have in society is a consequence of money. It is the money that has come in. The Bible says money is the root of all evil. So before I come in, go back to answer the question you said, is it always what was that question? The part question again? You may just rephrase it again.
Okay, the question I asked you was, must it be visibly that you can actually see or touch a gift?
No, it must not be. It could. That's why we call it. It is either tangible or intangible. Tangible in the sense that it's something that you can actually touch, like the Bamenda, the Northwest traditional cloth that I mentioned. It's something tangible you can touch, like a goat that you take to go give a principal for your child to go to a secondary school. That's tangible. Like some money that you give to a policeman on the road. That's tangible. But there could be intangible aspect of a gift. With, for example, people working in some kind of industries, like people working in the sports industry, in gym. Somebody working in a gym. They say, okay, we'll give you some vouchers we'll give you some time slot to come and exercise in a gym. Or like people working in cinema industry, they say, okay, we'll give you free movies. You go and watch some free movies. So those are intangible kind of gifts. Or even some favor like some sexual favors. That's intangible. So say it can be tangible and intangible. So so that's what I can say here.
Thank you, Dr. Titanta. Now I'm going to go on to my co-host. Pastor Commando, can you take over, please?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would want to just find out, because we all know, like Dr. Titanta just quoted, in the Holy Book, the Bible, it is said that a gift will blind the eyes of the wise. That means that you give something with an intention for a favor that does not actually favor you, because you are asking a favor that is not your favor, and you give out something to somebody, it will go a long way to blind the person. So we are building a nation that will make sure that these things are actually according to our constitution and the rules of our ethics, which are not out of the constitution. These things should be put into the ears of our people. That's why we're bringing up this teaching at this moment. So whatever you are hearing, I want you to be putting it down in your mind so that tomorrow you can be reminded when you are apprehended. I've heard people saying that there is no ignorance when it comes to the law, and that is true. And so that's what we're going to practice in Ambazonia. And as we are trying to implement the law that we have now, the constitution that we have now at this interim stage, a number of people that have been brainwashed and have grown up in La République du Cameroon are thinking that, oh, these are tyrants, these are emperors, these are people who want to sit tight, just because we are enforcing the constitution that is guiding us at this stage in which we are. Now, after all that expressed, I want to get back to you, Dr. Titanta. You have just finished speaking. I want to get back to you. When it comes to these gifts in Ambazonia, what can be the general rule for these giving and receiving gifts in our context and in our land? What would be the general rule of this giving and receiving these gifts?
Yeah, giving and receiving is something that is good. People need to be hospitable, but we must put down rules that will govern the way people give, the way people exchange gifts, so that there will not be an underlying implication of corruption or trying to buy somebody's favor. We must lay down some well-defined rules. Let me give for example, like the country I'm living in, like Belgium. The notion of gift, if you are a government worker in Belgium, you are not supposed to give a gift of more than 25 euros to 45 euros to a person working to your superior within one time. You are not supposed to give more than 125 euro in a year to somebody who is superior to you. So we would have to think about some mechanisms to put them in our place. I will not say, for example, 125 euro because the salary. Maybe in a country that we are trying to build, let us say nobody should give a gift which is more than the price of a bottle of palm oil. Let's say in current colonial masters money, let's say 500 francs CFA. Nobody should give a gift to superior which is more than 500 francs CFA. So that's something like that. But I think we will have to sit down and develop and think more on it when while we reach Buea. This will be very important.
Thank you very much, Dr. Titanta. You are in the spirit. You just took over my mind because I was about to say, excuse me, all the euro and the pounds and the other things you are talking. Let's get back to what we are actually using now in our in Ambazonia, which is the colonial CFA. Can you break that down? And you just came in with that one in to break it down. Thank you very much. Okay, let's continue. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. I will drop down to you, Barrister, and then just find out from you. When it comes to this giving, as far as Ambazonia is concerned, because we are targeting the people who are in positions of authority who can be corrupted to provide a favor to one person or the other. Now, generally, we have seen and we know a little bit of the rules. Is there a particular limit that you think we will put up to prove that it is not a gift to blind the eyes of our people, especially those in authority? We know of lawyers and judges and other authorities that are bribed every day by just bringing a goat and something that is physical and so on. What do you think that we will have, or if we are going to, let me not put if, we are going to have those kind of rules, what would be our standard of something that will not be classified as a gift to a superior? Barrister Tim.
Well, I think before I even answer that question, let me explain something. We have been talking about government officials. When we get to Buea, don't expect all those government officials in Buea to be the one concerned. At the level of your village or wherever you live, the government is right there with you. You can live in the village and die without ever seeing a government official coming from Buea. with their government officials right in your doorsteps who are corrupt every day, to whom you go and buy favors. Let me give just a few examples. In almost every village, you have, say, every county, for example, you have a delegate for education. This delegate can move teachers from one school to the other. You have a local doctor who can move a nurse from one health center to the other. Those are the government officials who are within your reach. You're not going to wait for Minister ABC to come from Boya to do it now. But if you go to give that headmaster, that delegate of education, 2 goats, because you don't want to go to a remote school, and he accepts, that is against the ethics. If you go and give that doctor a chicken, a hen, or a cock, because you don't want to move to an unproductive health center, that is unethical. By the same token, if you are a woman and you go and sleep with a delegate because you don't want to be transferred, or you are a man, you go and sleep with a woman because you don't want to move her, that is unethical. Now, how shall we put the rules? The rules are even going to be very easy to be put because they become public. They will be for public discussion. In fact, we will have multipartism. And a party will tell you that when I get to power, all my officials will not take bribe from you. Teachers will be transferred when they are needed. So it will become a thing of public record. It's not something that 2 of us are talking in private. No. We will know that if you are giving your goat, which is 10,000, hoping not to be transferred, that is unethical. If you are giving your bag of beans because you don't want to be moved to an unproductive health center, that is not acceptable. A bag of beans can be equated in terms of money. A bag of beans, you know that you can buy it in the market value may be 10,000 or 5,000 or 2,000. But as my other panelists have just said, if you put it at 500, for example, will it be, because there are consequences. If you are the inspector of education or the doctor, will you risk your job taking just 500 francs, 5 cups of beans? Because if they discover it, you are going to pay it. You pay for it dearly on your job. That happens. And that happened before. I remember in the 1960s, in Southern Cameroon, there were government ministers in Buea. They were all men, just as I'm saying. So they used to go down to the hospital and sleep with women there. There was another woman there who was a nurse. She's there, I don't need to call their names, who was reporting them. And most of them lost their government jobs, their ministerial positions, because they were doing unethical things. So there are consequences for violating the ethics. You don't just do them and go free. Again, they will be made known. They will become public discussion. Everybody will know. To the extent that even the village chief that I mentioned earlier would know. Because we're not all dealing with government. The village chief can be corrupt, can be influenced. You can influence him because he makes a lot of decisions that bind you without going to court. The magistrates are so high up there, you might never have the case. The doctors are over there, you might never be sick. So that thing will be in our blood. It all depends upon the education. Again, ethics, we remember we told us, it is a moral compass of society. We have to be moralized to know that if I'm the chief, I'm not supposed to do this. If I am the headmaster of a school, I'm not supposed to do this. Even in my own family, I'm not supposed to do this to my own children. Take, for example, a man at home who has several wives, 4, 5, 6 wives alone. It's unethical to think that one woman will be cooking food and bringing it to you, you don't eat the all amount of food. Yes, you're not going to go to any court. That is unethical because the all women will revolt against you. That's the penalty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Barrister Tim. It's always a pleasure to have people who have practical experience and who have had the opportunity to have been in the land where we are going. I mean, it's very powerful. I like that. This next the next question I'm going to ask our panelists, if I had remembered very well, I would have asked, but one of you who is looking a little bit to have been in West Cameroon before, but then I know that knowledge is acquired very fast and anywhere now. And I'm sure that Dr. Ndola is up to the task. Yeah, Doctor, I want to come back to you to ask you, because from all that Barrister has just explained, we now understand that when we talk of the Ambazonian authorities, we are not talking only of those who are in Boya. We are talking right into the home, right into, because it is the grassroots that make up Ambazonia. Now, are there going to be some instructions for those who might not have had the opportunity to actually have, white collar jobs, as they call them, but they are in position of authority in the local setting, to have them understand and observe these rules of giving gifts in order to corrupt? Have we put in place, are we beginning to put in place such teachings, so that tomorrow nobody will think that, well, since I am not a minister, I am not a delegate, I am not this, I am exempted, I can do whatever I want to do? Are there rules that are put in place for that kind of a thing, as Barrister has just mentioned? Over.
Yes, thank you, Pastor Commando. Of course, it is not limited to government officials, because the most effective governments in this world, they are streamlined. You don't pack too many people into government like they do in La Republique, who is sending over their evil troops to kill our people, and with whom we've been for over 6 decades. And that's a tough job to do. We can be saying it out there in the diaspora. It's when we will soon get to Boya that everybody will have to be instructed on that there are things which we've been used to. They say the water takes up the taste of the pipe in which it flows. Ambazonia has been flowing in the corrupt La Republique pipe for 60 years. It will take some time to uproot all that. So we have to engage in some rigorous information campaign about all this sensitization campaign. They say the family is the building block of society. That's where it will have to start, for parents to instruct their kids on that. Well, not only that, in schools, starting from elementary school, as soon as those children can understand something, they should be taught in their civic lessons. There used to be civics, where we will learn about the state, the rights and duties of its citizens. That will be imbibed into our young children from a very young age, so they know what is good, what is bad, what is ethical, what is unethical, because you never know if they are taught that in the family, or what type of milieu they grow in. So that is one thing in the schools that is to be taught, and in other places also, like not only in schools for children, in adult schools, in institutions, and in firms also. A law will have to be made, like in Germany here. If you have a firm, like about between 5 to 10 people at least, then it is the duty of the owner of that firm to make those people acquainted to the laws of the state, especially regarding taking gifts, bribery and corruption, ethical behavior. So from there, you have to, somehow prove that your co-workers, those who are under you, have been instructed on such things, have had a course on it, and then they understand it. And if anything is happening, you send somebody from your firm to go represent you somewhere, then that person has to know what that person can take or not take as gifts. And anything given to that person, well, you would not just say yes. You can say no if it is something that is not, let's say, in Germany here they say above 30 euros, something that is above 30 euros that's given to you. you don't have to take. But if it is something related to your business, to the business trip, like for example, you are invited to a business overseas, you are sent from your firm, then you go there, you are picked up from the airport with a taxi. It will cost, I mean, more than that, those 30 euros. It is allowed. It is related to your work. It is not something that, I mean, you are being bribed or something like that. It's just part of the services that they give to their customers when they come to visit them. So in firms, those things are to be thought. And I mean, I would say there is like when people go to do like a driving license, they are taught the basics of life saving, life administering first aid to people who are in need. And I think such things like being ethical and all these gifts issues are to be taught there also. And we will have to not only tell people, "Whoa, don't do this, don't do that." We'll have to tell them the consequences which are there if you do such things. Like if you are a construction worker, you get a contract from the government to build a bridge, and then you bribe them. They give you the contract, and then you in turn, you take that money and you don't use it exactly as it is supposed to be used. You buy very cheap materials, and workers that are unskilled, they come and build that bridge, and at some time an accident occurs. Then you'll be in for it. That is the consequence of corruption, of taking gifts, of bribery, of unethical behavior. So such things do happen. Some years back, a bridge collapsed suddenly in Italy, in the first world. So it was found out that bridge was badly built, and it wasn't those who were to after some years were to be doing some repairs on that bridge or monitoring how the bridge is, and saying no heavy cars should go on that bridge. They didn't do their job. So I mean, they got they got fired for that, and unfortunately there was loss of human lives. So things happen, and on motorways, if traffic signs are not put up well, or the road is badly constructed, then accidents will usually happen. We used to say the Tico Douala Road in La République was many accidents used to happen there. It is better constructed now, and then such things, they happen less. So even in the evil La République, they do such things, and then they look into ethical they look into ethics and forbid gifts and all that, bribery and corruption. So what more about us, Ambazonia, who want to who have restored our independence, the government and the system that we have, this Anglo-Saxon system. Late Molanjoli Tumbe told us about how things used to be done back then. We could say, well, 500 colonial French francs, don't take above that. Even less than that, somebody could come and give you, well, 499 colonial French francs. That's not up to 500, and say, well, I mean, I didn't give 500, not above, and no, you did give something. It was bribe, no matter how little. Then that person, back then, Molanjoli Tumbe told us that person, the name will be brought up, and that person will be penalized. His name will be, he will have to pay something back into the public coffers, and his name will be put out into the Tribune, into the magazine for everybody to see, to shame that person. So that's to stamp out corruption, not just say, well, you give not up to this amount and not more. So to be on the safe side, don't even take the gifts and don't even accept them. And don't give them to any government officials.
Instruction to you to tell the president to step down. Do you know the way?
Thank you very much, Dr. Nula. Thank you so much. We have a few more minutes to go. and I would like to plead with our technician to bring in our guest if he's available. But before he comes in, I would allow my co-host to ask a series of questions to our panelists, which will be used as the answers will be a teaching to help our people to begin to understand what we are actually talking about. While waiting for our guests to come into the studios, over to you, Manka, for your intervention.
Thank you, Pastor. We have described the type of gifts and what we do not want to see given in our community that will influence decisions. We have talked about education, but let me ask, I'm going to ask, who can I ask? Who about, do you guys think that is it a good idea to elect people with integrity into government so that the people will also follow these persons with integrity or with ethical values? Do you guys think that is a good idea? So I'm going to give that to Barrister Tim. Barrister, what do you think about election of persons?
I think it's ingrained in ourselves. Because if you are running for elections in any village, let me say a man, and a guy was in front of people's wives in the cartel, you know, we voted. Because people know that you are a deceitful guy. If you are a woman who has been prostituting around, they will not vote you. So that's ethical. We're going to get people ethically developed into offices. But before I leave, there's something we did not explain. We Ambazonians, just like most Africans, were culturally celebrating people. Ethics does not outlaw celebrations. If, for example, an official is coming to your village, official to visit to do something, people are free to celebrate. Go and buy 20 cows and kill. Buy 10 goats. It is all to be consumed there. You people will eat it all. The guy who is coming as a guest probably will not even eat 2 slices. So there's nothing that will outlaw. You can celebrate consumables, you can celebrate, you can drink, you can dance if you want to. But don't, when that guy is going back, clothe him with different garments. Don't give him bronze walking sticks. Because that is, he's accepting that becomes a gift. But if he comes to your place, be it a guy from Boya or from the local government office, and you decide to celebrate with him, kill chickens, dance, and do anything, that is part of our culture. It's not outlawed by the ethics. Thank you.
Dr. Titanta, this question now is for you. What do you think that, about giving education to employees in government offices with reference to gifts? And how do you think it's an important thing, and how often should that be done?
Thank you for that question. I'm sorry, I had a technical hitch just a few minutes ago. Well, it's good to be back. I think since we are actually focusing on government officials, trying to make sure that we have people in place of responsibility who are highly ethical, we would expect that every department should set up ethical groups, ethical educational system, ethical training. There should be staff training to be aware of ethical behavior. It should be something that is continuous. It's something to be encouraged, something to even put in place, something that we should even send inspectors to inspect department to make sure that those kind of things are there in place. Let's not just talk. We must make sure that things are put in place like that. So it's something very important, because we expect that our officials to show good examples, because the population are looking forward to. They're supposed to be the one to show the good example to the people, to the population, and the population will have to learn from them, because they will be in contact with the population daily. So that, for example, if somebody, a population who is not aware, comes to give a bribe, a well-informed official will help to educate that citizen and say, no, you are not supposed to do this. You are not supposed to do this. You're supposed to by that you because you have been informed, you have been trained to know. You will help to train other citizens of the country. So I think from top down, we must make sure that in the high echelons of our society, we have highly ethical people who will inculcate in the other people that are under them, and it should go down, continue going down in the rungs of our society, that it will trickle down to every level of our nation. And also, I want to say something here also concerning like foreigners who come to our country, who have not been subjected to this kind of education we're thinking about. We must also think about putting things in place that would cater for these foreigners so that they will not bring in some kind of bad behavior in our country. I'm thinking, for example, like the case of Belgium here. They did not used to implement this before. They realized that most of foreigners come in here, the Belgian ways are foreign to them, and because it's foreign to them, they get themselves in trouble. They get themselves maybe with a taxation problem. They get themselves with a judicial problem. They get themselves with marital problems. So the Belgian society, for example, the Flemish section had to set up something they call inburgering. So when you come into the country officially, the first thing they receive you in the city council, you get a package to go to a certain organization that will give you some special training, which together with the language, the national language, they train you and give you the Belgian way of thinking, Belgian moral standard. So you are trained, we take like 6 months training. So this is something we should think about, because we might well train our people, but if foreigners, our country will be an open country where people will come in because people want to enjoy the kind of life we have. So we must put in place mechanisms that will make sure that they don't bring in some immoral kind of standard. So that's what I want to add here.
Thank you, Dr. Titanta. So that means that all this training we are providing right now, we are going to create manuals and put all the information in there, so that each office or each department will have these manuals that they will train their new employees, and also now provide continuous training, like you guys have said, over the year, so that it becomes ingrained in them and becomes a part of every employee. So
exactly.
Is the guest available, or I can ask another question to Dr. Ndula? Is the guest available?
Yeah, go ahead and ask Dr. Ndula's question. But before you ask the question, I just want to interject to say that what Dr. Titanta has just said is obtainable here in Brazil. When you come into Brazil, especially when you come in as a refugee, you are given a 6 months training in the language. You are given a package, and you are paid transport and feeding for you to learn the ways of Brazil for that 6 months. But they discovered that a number of people just grab the money for 1 week or 1 month and go and sit down and finish and then come back. So you come attend the classes first. Then when you attend the classes, when you are going back, they give you the 1 week transport. But if you are not attending the classes, you are not going to get anything. So I think this is something we should emulate and put in our curriculum for Ambazonia, especially for those who will be coming to stay in Ambazonia. Thank you very much. So you can go ahead with Dr. Ndula.
Okay, just to interject on Pastor's comment again, we are going to have manuals in the offices so that we will train, and we have probationary periods for the government offices, so that during the probationary period, they should all learn what the manual on code of conduct implies. Now, Dr. Ndula, I'm back to you. So I want to discuss with you, what do you think should government employees should be sources, the type of sources that government employees and also persons seeking contracts with government, what kind of actions or what kind of things should be prohibited? Like, for instance, and somebody who knows an employee in a certain department and a contract is coming up, should that individual be allowed to seek that contract? Can you take that on for us, please? Did you hear me? I'm sorry. Did you hear my question?
Yeah. He
Hello?
was muted.
Yes, I was
Go ahead.
muted. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for the question. Well, yes, there are things to watch out for when people are coming to to get some contract from government or dealing with government officials. Just the mere fact that somebody is known, a government, let's say for the public work department, contracts are being given to private contractors by the government. Just the fact that you know somebody, does not automatically disqualify that person from having that contract. It has to, if everything is done ethically and without any exchange of anything of monetary value, gifts, or any bribery and corruption, and all ethical standards are respected, then it is, of course, possible that such things happen. I mean, it's like in the United States, for example, when late President John F. Kennedy was in power, he appointed his attorney general, which was his own brother. He was a qualified lawyer and everything. And I mean, he got grilled by Congress of the opposite party and he got the job. So that in itself is not something that bars somebody from getting a contract from government or having any dealings with the government. It doesn't constitute any unethical behavior, except all these things, gifts come in and bribes and unethical things come into it. Okay.
Thank you for that answer. So are you saying therefore that if we find out no gifts or bribes were given, are we going to therefore vet and make sure that the person who is bidding for that contract is actually going to present to us the best alternative before we hire them to do the job for us?
Yes, of course. Like, I mean, somebody coming for a job where they say, well, you have to have advanced level certificate, and then there is somebody who comes and has just ordinary level certificate, but that person is related to you, or is a close friend of yours, or an acquaintance, and then you give that person the job who is less qualified, then that raises eyebrows. Then that case, if it is brought up, will have to be prosecuted and then looked into. Why did that other person get that job? If that person doesn't have like more working experience and all that, but things that are, if somebody is qualified, two people are qualified, then the same qualification, then they could say, like, I mean, well, like in South Africa, after apartheid, they said you favor the blacks. That was not favoritism. That was not like discrimination. It is just getting more equity into the society. Then we could say in certain branches, we say you favor the girls, the women. That is not discrimination. A man and a woman equally qualified for a job, and then you take the woman because there are quotas, for example, that have to be attained in certain firms, in certain positions by women and by men. So that will not constitute any crime. But if the qualification is not there and that person is taken up, then other things begin to add up. You being related to that person or being acquainted to that person or having some sort of relationship with that person, that might get you being prosecuted then.
Thank you.
Can I just add something? Can I just add
Yes.
something to what
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Dula said? Now, let us talk again about contracts. You see, one of the greatest difficulties we have is giving contracts to people who don't know how to perform the contracts. Generally speaking, like in the United States, we should have a pool of people, a pool of contractors, vetted in advance by virtue of their ability and their performance. What does that mean? If we want to give contracts, we call it in the United States federal contractors. If we want to give a contract to construct a road from point A to point B, a 100-kilometer road, the company we should have vetted in advance to be sure that they have, for example, 5D 10 Caterpillars, 6 front head loaders. They have all this equipment that can qualify them to construct a road. So only people from that pool who are vetted in advance by their qualification and by what they have to be able to perform should be given the contracts. If you want to become a government road contractor, you have to be vetted, put in the pool. That is not being unethical. Otherwise, we have found situations where people are given contracts to go and build a school. That guy has never built any house. He gets there, goes to the bush and cuts sticks and put it and says he's building a school. Then he takes the money and go away.
Thank you,
So
Barrister.
that should be the criteria for contractors. We don't just give contracts to everybody, to anybody who comes around and say, well, I'm a contractor. No. At the level of government should be able to vet in advance. If it is construction for houses, how many engineers do you have? Because if you're going to construct a road, you should have a road engineer in your pool of personnel. Things like that.
Just to support what you are saying, in the county that I work for, they have that, and it's called a vendor process. So that means that all the activities in the county, anything that the county wants, they have already vetted people who can perform those jobs, and they give them a vendor license number. So that means that before you apply for any a contract with the county, you have to fall in their pool of vendors. If you do not have a vendor license number, forget it. You will not, because there are a series of activities and qualifications that you have to provide. Like what you mentioned, how many engineers do you have? How many road constructions have you done? How much are you going to charge us? Have you gotten a plan so that we can look at the plan? So that is what other the counties here in the US are doing, and that is a wonderful suggestion. And we should start talking to our government to start coming up a vetting process for each contract that can be given. We should think out of the box before we ever get there. Pastor?
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. It's time to bring in our guest. I think that this education that we have started here, we will continue with the education until we reach our home. And we'll make sure that what we have learned out there that is helping the people, we will implement it. I will not allow somebody to pass through Ngwakele and print some letter-headed paper and then, learn to sign a 2 million signature and then, present it as authentic. But there will be people on the ground to vet and not just take paperwork. All right. With that said, our guest has been waiting. SOS Frank has been waiting, and he has been listening to all these discussions. And being in the position in which he is, we will give him an open check. He will talk to us, expatiate on some of the things that we have been saying, and bring in his own input so that at the end of the day, Ambazonia shall be completely balanced. We give him all the time to go ahead and talk, and maybe he will take us to the end of our period. And if there is anything, we'll transfer it to next week. Over to you, SOS Frank. It is your turn. Come in and talk to us on all. Last week we missed you, you know. We're expecting and we miss you. So bring in all what happened last week and today, and maybe in the future. Over to you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
5 on 5.
Yes.
Thank you, Pastor Commando. Thank you, Mama Manka. Thank you to the panelists, fellow televiewers, fellow Ambazonians. I greet you all, and to our Ambazonian Restoration Forces, 21 gun salute for the good job to ensure that the enemy colonial regime in our territory was unable to celebrate with all the fun and fair that they expected. We must have seen on social media some excerpts of celebration, as they call, but if you look critically, you will see that most of those areas were tight with security, and everybody was kind of being scared. Well, we understand our people were held at gunpoint to go and do some celebration. Even though we condemn that, but we understand that whatever the situation is, those that were held against their will, we know, but those that were enablers that have been promoting the agenda of the colonial master in our territory, we equally know, and we will face them until the last man standing. That said, I still need to thank the Ambazonian Restoration Forces who did an excellent job. I want to condemn vehemently those of us in the diaspora who sit in the comfort of our homes and we think that we can manipulate our people on ground by giving different information when the interim government had announced the lockdown for the 10th and the 11th of February. It is rather unfortunate that some people decided to go against that with contra announcements that put our population at serious jeopardy. I have received cases of civilians' property being damaged because they were on the road on February 10th, which was a lockdown day, and they are now claiming they heard of February 11 only. That's why they decided to go about their business. I want to tell Ambazonians that we are mature people and we should come to terms to understand that if we really want to succeed, then we need to bury some of those egos that we are carrying. If we really, really want to push the colonial master out of our territory, we must be very careful with our personal egos. That aside, I still thank all the Ambazonians who respected the interim government's instruction of the lockdown and did not come out on the 10th. Coming into this program today, I want to apologize equally for not being able to attend last time. But then, if you can permit me, I know the panelists were blowing a lot of grammar here. I would defer to my country talk so that my people in ground zero or people back home and in ground one should be able to understand. My country people of Ambazonia are Salud Una, na me Secretary Frank of Defense. I want to talk today about Ambazonian Restoration Forces them and some of the challenges the way they face them. Where it go concern the topic where we talk for here when ethics. As we hear these big book people, they don't define them. Ethics, now that thing the way would you expect say everybody go do them so that the society it go look clean and uniform. You no go do way it go cost people them for the vex. So I want start for apologize on behalf of the Ambazonian Restoration Forces them. Say make with communities, make with civil society, make it know say if una don't be rough-handled in one way or the other by with brothers and sisters them, where they defend with territory, make una forgive, make una forgive, make una forgive them. We beg from the bottom of our heart, say no matter how you be hurt by the restoration forces them, make you find place for your heart for forgive and for look the big picture ahead. I know say a lot of we don't even decide for turn be enablers for make sure say we sell the struggle. Remember that one way you did do them, they call the enemy for sure who say with boys and it be very, very unethical. It not only be unethical, it be treasonous. Where it means in a crime that way, it get very heavy penalty, up to even death. So I call on will civil society say, make will not take vex, will sell, will birthright for enemy them. Now for the ethics, as I don't enter office, one of my priority na respect for human right. And that respect for human right, na ye give we, where we carry arms, that opportunity for deal with the civil society like people the way they not be our own enemy. We go make sure say we brothers and sisters them where they carry arm, make them respect everybody inside society. Because when that respect there, society go get peace. And we call on people there for society to say, make them show respect for we brothers and sisters them where they don't carry that arm for defend we. For move forward, most of these things we don't hear today about gift, about ethics. All these things will only be successful if we as a people will be united in our purpose to develop our community. One, if you don't underpay somebody, you not expect say make it not take bribe. You not expect. Because it find a way for survive. Insofar as when at the year, we panelists that they talk about all this fine template they will go put that in place, I want first guarantee when I say people the way they go to work inside Ambazonia, they go be well paid to the level where you go choose whether make you take that bribe or make you take your salary. Because bribe, when they catch you, you no go only lose your job, you go prison. We need the ask and we tell people there. Because that time we go get the power to persecute. So the people the way they go to commit that unethical practices them, they go be held accountable. Now for the level for the soldier them, God so willing, the soldier then go be well paid for where they no go even they look some people their own money or anything where person want give them. Secondly, we don't develop reach that level where technology don't take over the world. And for that technology, guess what? Even that one where they stand for road, camera then go to see even the officer them where they do all that thing. And for that reason, them too, they go get their responsibility for no say, as camaraderie see them, whatever they take them for somebody for street, camaraderie see them. In addition to that, even the people the way they pass, where they get in a motor, no be this thing where they talk for this system now say they stop you, they ask your document them. No, your motor registration, it go already be computerized. Computerized in the sense say they go don't lock the book there for the motor, and through that locking, everything where you show them for road, they need to look them. Now from that paper where you show them they look now for the document the way it is show for computer. So they go just scan your document now for scan them, and then you go get whether na fine if your document don't expire, or whether na green pass if everything they okay, you begin to go you. So when we put in place a lot of checks and balances the way they not go give room for corruption, you go see say people then go start for the do thing them ethically. Moving forward, once we don't enter Ambazonia, everything will be instituted for the level where will restoration forces them. The benefits where they go get them, and it guarantee una say nobody no go get time for the work I run for bribe it back. Because when you lost that opportunity, you go regret them. And then for country where you see the military, they pay extreme attention for them. And when they give them that extreme attention, themselves know. They know that when they violate anything where it concerns that extreme attention, then they regret them. Because I go tell you, the highest number of beggars in the streets in America, now ex-military them. The highest number of beggars. Now the question now, why now military the way they don't commit military work, now then they beg? Now because them be don't violate the ethical code where they be don't put them for them. And then they move them, they decommission them from that service. So all that benefit where you be the get them, it don't loss. Now the same thing it go there inside Ambazonia. The military who restoration forces them, they go get excellent benefits, good health care, good monthly allowances. When you violate and then you practice unethical behavior, then those things will be taken away from you, and that time you go be a beggar. If you don't want to be a beggar, you continue for do unethical things, you go end up in prison. So I want to beg all restoration forces them, when they hear my voice, say, even though you not be able for chop today, where would you really struggle for system will find way to una fit chop while una the fight, but no say tomorrow you and your entire family go be proud for everything where you don't do today for save the people of Ambazonia and for defend homeland. The ethics where we go put them, it not go be now for cause people them for fail. It go be for just make sure say me any man is stand at attention. It the work now for the line where we expect you for the work, so that everybody go be proud of we. Military are the most respected people them on earth, and I expect that from all Ambazonian restoration forces. When that respect there, loyalty there, you go discover say you go do your work where you not get any fear. Anybody where he approach you for bribe you, that person, he go down for that. Currently, one of the biggest challenge where I face them as a defense secretary, it been at the issue where restoration forces and all these other fractions of soldiers them, where they function inside Ambazonia. Some of them don't they approach with people them, they try for mediate between family problems. They try for handle issues about boundary problems or land crisis. I want call on the restoration forces. We work now for fight the enemy. We still get quarter heads them. We still get some of we funds them where they stand with we. Leave them for do their own work. Make we stay focused on the enemy. Not leave the enemy if they come for can kill you. You the struggle for judge land plabber. It no go correct. Those are some of those unethical things that the restoration forces are already doing. Make we disease from that. I call on all the field marshals, all the major generals, the colonels, the captains, the commanders, and the foot soldiers for be at alert, for make sure say when they come across any foot soldier where it try, for make sure say make it take the rule of a traditional council or a quarter head for the judge family problem them, make it be called to order immediately. That one will not go wait till we enter Boya. We'll get to implement that one now. But when we don't enter Boya, most of these things then go be defined where you get a book where they go call them the code of ethics. And that code of ethics, when you violate them, it not go be easy for you. Fellow Ambazonians, I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Last week, I not be get the opportunity because I'll be there for another meeting. I won't come in where I don't be late. But today, I don't get that privilege for explain a bit for Una. For tell Una say, the Ambazonia way with the work, with the fight for restoration. When everything is said and done, nobody go ever regret why it be stand with we for fight. Because we go make Ambazonia an area where people they go live for be extremely happy with. Trust we, give we the opportunity. I call on the people the way they don't sell with fellow brothers and sisters because of one reason or the other, or because of one person in unethical behavior, you decide for sell the whole Ambazonia for La Republique. I call on them say me then disease, me then stop that kind of fashion because we all will go enjoy way to way we fight for. I want to thank the producer then for this program. I want to thank ABC TV. I want to thank the interim government for this opportunity. And in the days ahead, if we not get any question, I go to answer the question. And if we not see anything where we need for Duam, for change the dynamics on the ground between the relationship with soldier them and with communities, I beg me una not hesitate for call me or for call my department so that we come in for talk to the boys, for talk for the restoration forces, so that all of us go there on the same page. God bless una and thank you. Mr. Moderator, if there's a question or two, I can take it.
Wow. Thank you very much, SOS for Defense. I think that we will not allow you to stay long without coming back on our program as a guest.
Yes.
All that we thought that you had left without telling us, you have brought it up today. Actually, our time is far gone and all spent. I would like to join and ask that when we come back next week, 10 p.m. Amber time, if there is that possibility, if our guest is still very much around, we start with him and ask a few questions. But for now, I want to hand over to my co-host to actually run it up and let the panelists put in their notes if they have any questions. Because I grew up to know that the most difficult and the most disciplined people in the society are soldiers, and he has spoken that language. Over to you, co-panelists. I mean, co-host, sorry.
Thank you, Commander Okon. Thank you. What an exciting discussion. How excited to listen to you, Chairman Frank. We are actually creating an Ambazonia where people will be paid for equitably for what they are doing, so that there will be no need for anybody to go out asking for bribes. Isn't that what we're talking about? This is the society. Panelists, we appreciate you, Dr. Ndula, Dr. Tatianta, and Barrister. We appreciate you. Unfortunately, we can't even ask you guys to go ahead and give a last word, but you guys have done an excellent job, and we are looking forward to next week's discussions on ethics. Pastor Commando, do you have anything else to say? If not,
no, thank you very much, and good night to the panelists. You did wonderful, and Ambazonians, get ready. We are coming back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where's Wambina? Wow. Our technician, where are you? We are done, and we are still sitting here in the studios. Can you please rescue us?
And once more, kudos to our brave restoration forces for standing up to the enemy, especially on this year so-called 11th February.
Yes. Anybody has, we will just be saying something before our technician comes back to take us out. Yeah, somebody else. Hey, man, we are finished and we're calling on you.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amber TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Mosinye kachevani we kuloba ninywe keyunjer mosinye kachevani we kuloba ninywe keyunjer mosinye kachevani we kuloba ninywe keyunjer mosinye kachevani we kuloba ninywe bore ekwe fimo yo shabi gwin fimo lo omo yuka kutije debo bib singongi. That is just the life that we live. Omo, no ni tata no, never jolly way. Sometimes this life no easy. You work so hard many days like you never do. I mean, sometimes you are weak, some you are strong. Tata no me bubi maji wekae. Omo, yeah, kuloba nenwe, yeah. Kuloba ninwe, ke yonje mosinye kachevani we. Kuloba ninwe, kuloba ninwe, ke yonje mosinye kachevani we. Kuloba ninwe, kuloba ninwe, ke yonje mosinye kachevani we. Kuloba ninwe, kuloba ninwe, ke yonje mosinye kachevani we. Kuloba ninwe. Atanya mi bua me mua, omo me pulengira tema mja. Kiwe kini me ame unjia mkura jini mgongi. Jisi mentido, jisa magore ya. Atanya mi bua kiwe jale mea. Atanya jimi bua kiwe jale mea. Atanya jimi bua kiwe kini mea. Tatanyo jimi buoki we jale mea. Tatanyo jimi buoki we kini me. Yeah, meloba ninwe. Yeah, mochinje kachevene we kuloba nenywe keye 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 mochinje kachevene we kuloba nenywe sume oh kuloba nenywe keye mochinje kachevene we kuloba nenywe Alimio, berimeo, tatanyo, berimeo, humnane, berimeo,
Don't you hate it when that happens to you? When it does, you need this and this and this. When it happens to me, I always know where to go. When you've got professionals on your side, your problems don't stand a chance. What are you waiting for? Contact them today and let them take care of your problems.
I've had this problem.
Big problem.
I really needed
A good videographer.
And I kept searching and searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list. But I finally did it.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
If you were looking for one as well, look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine. Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend. Problem gone.
Thank you.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amber TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.